Hey guys, my name is Julie Malillo. I'm a life coach here in Manhattan. My website is yourdreamslifecoach.com. Again, I'm talking about narcissists, sociopaths, messed up personalities. And this was on my mind because I saw a video about a cult. I'm not going to talk about which cult, it doesn't particularly matter. You can study cults and they have the same types of things going on. These are the same types of things that narcissists and sociopaths do because those are the people who run cults. Normal people with empathy don't go out and just like, oh, I'm going to make a cult and like destroy people's lives. That's not what people do when you have empathy. Narcissists and sociopaths, basically, their life is a cult anyway. That's how they want it to be. And it's just a question of can they get people to go along with them. Most of them can't. Most of them have normal jobs, normal lives. They might have a small group of people that they're in relationships with, or friends or family. But if they could, they would. All of those dysfunctional type of people, because of the brain that they love control more than anything. And what gives you more control than a cult? So the reason this was on my mind was that in the media, I am seeing so many signs, and it's basically like a cult at this point. If you study cults and then you look at what the media is telling you, the messages that they're giving you, the actions that are being taken, it is absolutely shocking. So this particular cult that I was listening to this video on, the survivor of it was talking about how over time the restrictions would come out, and then a little bit at a time, oh, just a little bit restrictions, sprinkle a bit, and then it would escalate over time, which is normal in abuse. And that's what we are seeing in the world, are we not? It starts out with just a couple weeks. And then, oh yeah, maybe it's just a few months. And then maybe it's, all of this and all of that. So in her cult, they weren't allowed to hug, which is literally the same as we are experiencing now. Of course, it's under the idea that it's for health. I'm sure they had it for some reason too. They probably had a good reason you're not allowed to hug. And it got to the point that they even had certain foods they weren't allowed to eat just arbitrarily. You're not allowed to eat squash or corn or all these random things that the cult leader decided were, sinful. Well, we're seeing that too. We're seeing food shortages, and you can say that, oh, that just happened randomly, but it's all very weird. Why are there food shortages? Why? We have, like, nothing's really changed as far as that. Yeah, a few people have gotten sick, but it's not like the whole country is sick and there's just no one to run the farm. So it just doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't seem organic to me. It seems manufactured. That's just my opinion. So it's very interesting to look at how cults operate, how they start out very happy and yay, we're so happy to have you. And then they very quickly devolve into control and power and restrictions, and we're just going to take this away, we're just going to take that away, we're just going to force you to do this, just going to force you to do that. The next thing you know, you're living in the novel 1984 or any of those sci-fi books or movies. We have plenty of these. Why did we not see the warnings, huh? We had lots of authors and artists that were warning us about this very thing, and we goldfish brained it is what we did. And we currently have a lot of goldfish brains out there. Not all of them are narcs and sociopaths. We also just have people who are ignorant, who don't want to have to look into things, who want to blindly trust. And yes, that's normally a narcissist type of a brain, who is childlike, blindly trusts, doesn't use critical thinking, doesn't even have critical thinking. But you can be a normal person and also just kind of go along with all this simply because it is hard work to do research. It is emotionally taxing. It is very stressful. The same way some people might stay in a relationship with someone who's cheating on them and just oh no, I'm sure they really were on a business trip. I know they wouldn't lie to me just because they don't want to have to go through all that hard work, the emotionally taxing and stressful work of actually being like, well, wait a second, they said they were on a business trip. Maybe I should research this a little bit and see if this is actually true. That takes a lot more effort and personal strength to look into than to say, oh, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure they have my best interest at heart, which is more of a childish way to be. But I'm just saying that you can be an emotionally healthy person and still have a goldfish brain for the moment, simply out of laziness, because we all do get lazy, we get busy, we have our own things that we need to take care of, and sometimes you just don't have energy at the end of the day to like dig deeply into the information and see what's really there. But I am definitely seeing from the very start of this, I have been seeing cult like messaging, cult like actions, arbitrary things, different groups being treated differently. That's called triangulation, which we know from narcissism is when you treat one person really nice and another person really horribly. And it's kind of a warning to both people, if you don't do exactly what I want, I'm going to treat you like that guy or that girl. So watch out. And we're seeing that across the board with this in different businesses and institutions being treated differently, such as churches, for example, that are being treated very differently, and arbitrarily deciding what's essential and what's not, which is not really something anyone else can tell you. Obviously, if a family has like an autistic kid, what they consider essential is going to be completely different than someone who has a normal neurotypical kid, right? Like that's just one example. I've seen stories of like autistic families where their kid has to have a certain sippy cup, or the kid will like die of dehydration because they just won't drink out of anything else. So I think of stories like that when they're talking about essential, and like to that family, that is a life and death essential thing that to someone else may not be. So to arbitrarily decide what's essential for people is pretty much insane. So I mean, now we're seeing things really just, I don't even know the word for it, sort of just explode into even more weirdness that is continuing to follow these main tenets I've been talking about of manipulation, of cult like messaging and actions. So I mean, it's very interesting if you do look into cults and how people are treated, the things they're meant to feel, such as fear, how they're forced to not question, to not think for themselves, to not look at the real information, to just accept what mommy and daddy tell you. It's all fine. Just move along this way. Otherwise, you're going to be harshly punished like those people over there. Some that we're seeing right now. So keep your eyes open, do your research, think for yourself. And I know not everyone can do that. Not everybody has critical thinking skills. But if you know somebody who does have critical thinking skills, listen to them. If you are in a moment in your life where you do suffer from goldfish brain, it happens to the best of us. Sometimes we get lazy, we don't want to look into something, and you're just like, goldfish brain, oh, I guess I'm supposed to go this way. Okay, I'm going to swim. Oh, now they're saying to go that way. I'll swim. And for example, when I talk about goldfish brain, one example of that is, the message that you're not supposed to go outside, you're not supposed to be close to anyone, you're going to kill people, how dare you, don't even question this. And the next thing, oh, but it's okay now. Now you can go outside and be close to people because riots are okay. So now it doesn't matter if you're 6 feet away or not. So you see the contradiction, both things can't be true. There has to be a lie in there somewhere. When things don't add up, when things contradict in that way, it means that there is something not true. And you might not 100% know which part of it isn't true, but some part of it is not true. So if you do know someone who is looking into things and researching things, listen to them, give them some support, encourage people to question and to look at things that don't add up instead of berating them as you continue on with your goldfish brain. Oh, they said to swim this way. Oh, they said to swim. Okay, they said I have to be 6 feet apart and wear a mask. Oh, but if we're rioting, it's okay because we're angry, so we're allowed to do that. And so that's okay now. And just, I mean, goldfish brain is a real problem. Um, and then the cult mentality is telling people, don't think for yourselves, don't question. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you not swim with the old other goldfish? Oh, you're a terrible person if you don't do that. If you even question the narrative, you are a terrible person, and I'm going to give you a list of insults about what an awful person you are. When you see that, that is a cult-like behavior that especially narcissists do that more than sociopaths even do. Narcissists love to shame other people who don't agree with them. So if you don't give me a huge present for my birthday party, you are just the worst person. You are so selfish. And often the insults they're telling other people are actually describing themselves. They love to call other people selfish and inconsiderate, and they are truly the most selfish and inconsiderate people you have ever met in your life. So my main point of this is not to tell you what to think or what to believe, but simply to open up your mind to notice when you're being a goldfish and you're just, oh, they said to swim this way. Oh, they said to swim that way. Oh, they said this is bad. Oh, they said now that thing is good. Oh, now the good thing is bad. Oh, now the bad thing is good. Well, but that's okay though, because I'm just going to swim along. If you're suffering from goldfish brain, I can't just tell you to have critical thinking because so many people, like 95% of people, don't have critical thinking these days, right? So that's the problem. People are relying on the expert. But when what the expert is telling you doesn't make sense, when they're contradicting themselves every 2 seconds, they're changing their narrative. What's bad is good, and what's good is bad, and what's up is down, and what's down is up. That's a sign to step back and either research it for yourself if you have critical thinking, or listen to somebody else of people who actually do have critical thinking, and look at people who aren't shaming you. If their go-to is a character attack that you're a terrible, selfish, horrible person who doesn't care about the herd, then they are not a good leader. If they need to use shame to get you to swim that way, they don't have an argument, they don't have truth, they don't have logic, they don't care about your well-being. They're just getting you to line up, to march off to whatever goal they want you to march off for, which is not going to be in your own best interest the same way that cults do it. And they don't start off being mean. They start off being really nice to you and, welcome to the cult. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're one of us and not one of those terrible other people, those terrible people over there. So when you see that kind of thing and that kind of bullying, you know that there's no substance. Because when there's truth, when there's substance, it's still there when you research it, when you question it, when you debate it, when you look into it, when you use freedom of speech. The truth still stands. You can have a long debate on whether the sun is hot or not, and the winner will be able to prove that it is. They won't say, how dare, you're a terrible person for even questioning this. How dare you question if the sun is hot? You're using misinformation. You're so damaging and scary, and oh my God, you need to be stopped and put in jail. No, they will be able to prove to everyone the sun is hot because they have proof of it, and the proof can be shown to you, and you will then say, okay, they're right. It is hot. They were able to prove that with facts. If people are trying to be silenced, it's for a reason. It's because they are not able to prove with facts. And when you're not able to prove with facts and logic, all you have left is shame and blame and character attacks. And we've been seeing that like crazy. And that is a cult-like way to manipulate people. And that's what we're seeing right now. So open up your eyes. Open up those goldfish eyes if you have goldfish eyes. And if you have critical thinking, keep researching, keep thinking, keep debating and discussing and looking to get down to the truth. And if you're someone who feels better if your team's winning, the other team is losing, and you're looking to blame and shame other people, then you are part of the problem. And you really need to wake up and realize that those people don't have your best interest at heart. You're being hurted like you're in a cult. And where they lead you is not somewhere you're going to want to go. If you're going to want to go that way, you would go there on your own. You wouldn't need to be rounded up and herded and, hey, goldfish, go this way. They wouldn't need to manipulate you if it was in your own best interest. Think of what cults have people do. Is that good for the people in the cult? No, those people would never do those things on their own. But they do it because they have goldfish brain. Now, even if you're not a narcissist or have a lack of critical thinking, sometimes people can get goldfish brain just because they're stressed out, they're confused, they're exhausted. Any of these things can deplete people's ability to think for themselves. So I really do encourage you all to think for yourself, look for the signs of manipulation, do some research on how cults affect people. Watch some videos on cult survivors and the messaging that they were told, and the shame and the blame and the character attacks and the fear that was instilled in them. And look for the parallels right now, because there's a ton. So I know this isn't my normal type of video, but I just wanted to kind of vent that out. Because you know what? We can have a happy world. We can have a world where we don't have any of this junk in it. We can have a world where we can just allow people to live and have good, happy lives without trying to force everybody into cults like we're doing. It's just really, it's sick and it's disturbing and it needs to stop. But it's not going to stop so long as people are like, yeah, goldfish cult. Let me swim along that way. Oh, those people are terrible. Oh, I hate those people. They're so stupid. Yeah, my team's the best. My team's the best. Oh, they're awful. Let's shame them. Let's humiliate them. Let's like storm their house because they're a terrible, terrible person. Yay, I'm the best. If you're taking part in that, you are part of the problem and you are causing that cult to go forward. And this is across the board. This is not one political party or another, or one belief system or another. This is across the board. These cult-like people will lead you in that way. So if you see that messaging, if you hear yourself saying the same things, if you find yourself disregarding what a person says just because they're in a different group than you, and you're not even listening to the content of what is being said, then you are using goldfish brain. It's dangerous to yourself, it's dangerous to others, and that's how you ruin people's lives, is you put them in cults and you take away their freedoms. So anyway, I know it's not my normal type of video, but I hope people give that some thought and consider your actions carefully. Consider your beliefs carefully. Think about things in depth with logic and critical thinking. Compare and contrast. Look for holes in narratives. Look for things that don't make sense, and don't just write it off as, oh, well, yeah, they changed their mind 15 times, but that's fine because I'm a goldfish and I don't freaking care. I'm just going to swim along. You're part of the problem for doing that. And also the people around you. Let people know if things don't make sense. Let them know, hey, I have some questions about this. I'm not just going to accept it blindly. Okay, guys, thanks for watching and have a good one. If you want life coaching, you can go to my website. I know this has nothing to do with life coaching, as many of my videos don't, but if you have a goal you're trying to tune into and reach faster, to kind of keep your motivation going and get really clear on what you want and what steps you want to take to get there. You choose your action items every week. I hold you accountable. yourdreamslifecoach.com. Just fill out the rate request in the upper right hand corner and I'll email you rates. Have a good one, guys.